What's going on, guys? We're back at it. It is Friday, July 17th. It is super hot. We actually do have a heat advisory today, so we're going to see if either staying at home was a good idea, away from this heat, or coming out here trying to land a giant fish before it gets too hot. So y'all come along. As soon as I started swimming it, like a kind of a good one. $2.22. That will take fish number 5 again. Good looking fish, ain't it? It's alright. I don't know why that drag was set so low. I don't remember catching anything on it to where I had to do that. Prime example of why you check your drag. Let's see what we got. Put that O-ring on here to help hold it in place, and it prevents it from ripping off from time to time too. Just hook it up underneath where that O-ring is, slide it up like you're going to Texas rig it, and you can see that O-ring right where that keeper is, and it will hold it on there a lot better than it will if you didn't have that O-ring. Then you just feed the bait through. Feed the hook through to expose it, just like that, so the hook's not exposed. Throw it back out there. Right there at the boat. I don't know. I just know.
You know the iPod family?
Yeah.
I was gonna go in there and take a nap, and then the neighbors started mowing the grass. I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait a little bit.
$2.95.
Huh?
The fish is $2.95.
Oh, cute.
And that thing fought like crazy, man. I don't know what we got. It's not really moving. That's what we had right here, guys. Looks crazy. Ooh, we got one, guys. We got a good one on, I think. Let's see if we can maybe get him in this net. All right, we got him. First. All right. Let's see how well he's hooked. I don't know if you can see that. He's hooked inside his mouth. And look at that gut. What a gut on him. Fatty. Alright, let's let him go. Let's talk about it real quick. Alright, so I wanted to talk about my setup real quick. So the last couple times I was out here fishing, I was fishing a lipless crankbait. I was fishing it on a medium heavy rod. And I was fishing on a fast gear ratio. I was fishing it on a fast gear ratio because I was trying to entice that reaction strike. And then I had about 14-pound line on, which does not stretch at all. And then the rod was a medium heavy powered rod. And that rod does not flex very, very well. And on your treble hooks, or your treble hooks on your bait, they're more so a round bend hook. So there's several things that you can do, and I'm going to tell you a couple of things that I did. The first one is that I actually changed out this treble hook, the rear treble hook, and this is the treble hook that they've been biting, which that's the hook that he bit. And if you can look at these hooks, you can see the difference. This front one up here, of the on the body of the lipless crankbait, it has round bend. And if you look back here to this hook, it actually almost looks like eagle claws. I forget exactly what they're called, but I got some the other day at Bass Pro Shop from Gamakatsu and Kevin Van Dan's brand. I think it might be like Owner Hooks or Mustad Hooks. That's it, Mustad Hooks. Mustad Hooks. Sorry about that. And what that's going to allow you to do is that when that fish bites that hook, if he jumps out of the water and tries to flail around and try to get that bait out of his mouth, he's going to have a lot more trouble trying to get that out of his mouth because those hooks actually point back, which actually holds on a lot better. So that's the first thing I did. The second thing I did is that I do love this reel, so I put 12-pound line on it. And when I fish a lipless crankbait, fishing 12-pound line will actually get you to cast the bait so much further so you can cover more water. And I slowed down to a slower reel. The one that I was fishing the other day was a 7.3-to-1. So this one is a 6.6-to-1, which comes a little bit slower, giving the fish a little bit more time to bite that bait. And then the most important part is the rod power. I still am fishing a 7-foot rod, but I changed the power of it. The power on the rods that I was using the other day was a medium heavy. And what I think that was doing was that it was, with the 14-pound line, was penetrating that hook really, really hard. And actually, instead of just piercing it and holding on to him, it was piercing them and kind of stretching that out. So when they do come out to shake their head, they actually spit it out, and you wind up losing really, really, really good fish like I did. So using a medium heavy action rod, when you penetrate that fish or you set that hook, you're just piercing his lip. You're not stretching him in any way, shape, or form. And then on top of that, when they fight back, when they're really, really big, this rod, the medium powered rod, actually does a lot of the work for you and reduces, those fish, shaking off. I don't know if you can see this, but when this rod flexes or that bass shakes his head, this rod has so much give to where that bait can flail around with his head. If you had a medium heavy rod, when he flails around, that rod is so stiff and so strong that it wants to kind of come back immediately. Instead of like this medium action rod, it just kind of wants to keep that bow and assist you with those head shakes. So they are some of the things that I've done. And another thing that you can do that I didn't do is you can actually change your line to a less stretchy line. I'm sorry, to a more stretchy line. What I have on right now, I have fluorocarbon on, which doesn't have a lot of stretch. And what I mean by stretch, it means that exactly what it means. If I took this line and pulled it like this, it doesn't really stretch. So if I would revert to monofilament line, which has tons of stretch, when I set that hook, that line's going to stretch a little bit and give, you a little bit more freedom on that fight. And then on top of that, with that medium heavy powered, with the medium powered rod, it is probably going to help you land those fish so much better. And just like we did right there, I had that hook, I had a softer rod tip, and we landed that fish. Because the past couple times, like I said, man, I lost one that was probably over 9.5, 10 pounds. I lost two that were probably over 5.5 pounds. That same day I lost that fish, and the last time I was here, I lost 3 or 4 fish on the lipless crankbait. So I modified it just a little bit. So hopefully that helped. I know I'm rambling on a little bit, but I'm always out here trying to help you guys become better anglers, give you my tips that help me catch really good fish or fish even throughout the heat of the summer. So let's keep on trying to catch them. Try this small little bluegill colored square bill. See if this might do something. Sometimes changing the color up helps. Let's see. We had one. We hooked into something. Let's see if we got some scales on it. No? We hung into something right there. Gotta be funny sometimes. Changed it up. I don't know how big he is. He's coming out to us though. He's a decent, not hook well. Oh, come on. Told you it wasn't hook well. It's okay. Felt him shake his head up underneath. There's another one. Oh, we got a good one on right here, guys. Oh yeah, there's a good one. We may have found him. We may have found him. I don't know if he ate this though. Somebody over here shooting. Alright. So we moved to the fishing it over here by this point. So I'm not going to do much talking. I'm going to try to actually get this bait back out there where those other fish may be. Look at that fatty. He wasn't going anywhere. He's pretty good. Look at that. It's a good one right there. Probably about 5 plus. Maybe 6. Let's see. $6.52. $6.56. Six-pounder. Right there. Just changing the bait up. We just changed it up. Look at that fatty. See if you can see it better. Let's let it go. I get back out there. That small square bill. And we get caught up in fishing and having a good time. Look at that. 119. Number 5. Brim up here. This little square bill replicates a small little square bill, which is an easy meal. Those bass. You know, and that little bass too. I mean, he was only 114. But that's okay. We'll take little ones too. Chasing it. He's strong. Especially if he just tired himself out. That's where you got hooked at. Look at that gut. He's eating on something. Let him go. All right. All right, so we're gonna check the line, check the hooks. Look at that. This is why you check the hooks. Look at this. Look at that. That treble hook is bent out. Alright? Now there's two things that you can do. You can change it out or get some pliers and carefully bend it back. Alright, bend it back. Actually looked like both of those were kind of bent. Alright, how it was bent, I don't know. Why it got bent. It could have been when we got snagged back down on the other side and I just didn't check it. But I thought we did. But obviously not good enough. Alright, what's the first thing we need to do before we cast? Tighten my drag. Yeah. Tighten the drag. Don't forget. We need to worry about that. We caught 2 fish on it. We got snagged on it and we didn't retie. So take the time out. It's okay to take a time out. Put that line on. And another thing I do too, I'll just pull a couple feet of this line off. Like, it's not going to hurt anything. Just a couple feet. Right there. Put it in the back of the boat. Throw it overboard. Might get wrapped up in somebody's trolling motor. And that somebody is probably you. Meaning me. So just put it in the boat somewhere. And throw it in the trash can when you get home. So again, I do the tri-lean knot. I go through 2 times. I go around my finger, so I leave my finger there. I go around my finger twice and go through that eye twice. And I go around 3 times. 1, 2, 3. I used to do 4, but I felt like it was creating too big of a space between the knot and the loop. So I just go with 3, and I don't really have problems with 3. Slowly pull it together and sink it down. Another thing too, I see a lot of guys do this, is when they retie, they just cut a little bit of line off. So this first couple feet of your line may still be weak due to your casting or fighting that fish. So what they do sometimes, and this is what I see, they'll tie a knot, and then when they want to see if it's tight, the line pops off. So that means their line was weak. So then once that line pops off, they'll take this off, take the knot off, cut it off. They'll retie again, and they'll test the knot, and the line pops off again. So that's what taught me to take several feet of the line off and then go ahead and, retie. And you may need to take a couple more feet off. It just depends. If your line keeps snapping when you're retying, take a good bit of your line off. I know we don't like wasting line because we're not sponsored, but I'd rather retie and pull a couple pieces of line off rather than risking a 10-pounder getting off because my line was weak or my knot was weak. Well, there you have it, guys. You can catch bass in the heat in the dog days of the summer. It is July 17th. It is a Friday, but man, it got hot today. It got real hot. We had a heat advisory. When we first got here, it was about maybe 80 degrees or so. Had a light wind and bluebird skies, but the conditions did change throughout the day. The water temperature started off at about 88 degrees and peaked out about 94 degrees. But regardless on the conditions changing, we still were able to catch the fish on the same technique, which was with a super fast retrieve, or baits that you can retrieve fast that eventually caused a reaction strike. So we caught the majority of our fish on lipless crankbaits, square bills, and worms. And you're probably thinking, a worm? Well, the way we did fish the worm and how we got the bite was actually when we were moving the bait. So we would throw out, we'd work the worm just a tad bit, and then once we started to reel that bait back in, they would, grab a hold of it, and then we'd reel them in. So causing that reaction strike was key today, regardless on the conditions. Some of the things that I want to leave you with, guys, is that, bring a cooler and bring something that you can hydrate yourself. A lot of the times you just get stuck in the moment and you're out there fishing and having a good old time, and you may not feel like you need to replenish and, eat and, rehydrate, but you really need to. A lot of the times when people go into dehydration is when they least expect it and they pass out or fall over the boat and wind up drowning. And also bring a couple snacks, like bring something that might be cold, like an apple or grapes or some sort of fruit, or maybe a sandwich, just to put something in your stomach. And another thing that you can see, guys, I always stay sun protected. The #1 leading cause of skin cancer is too much sun penetration or too much sunlight on your skin. And so try to stay protected. I know sometimes we don't like to wear long sleeve stuff like this, but spraying that oily based suntan lotion on us, I actually don't really like it because it just gets a little sticky and it's all, you know, it gets nasty. And I feel like this makes me a little bit cooler. But guys, I really appreciate you guys coming out here and you know, watching me fish. I really enjoy showing you guys different techniques and the ways I approach these fish and how I try to approach them. And you know, sometimes we don't always catch them, and you know, that happens in fishing. If we'd catch them all the time, you know, we'd be professionals, and that's not the case. So if you guys have any questions or, you know, comments, go ahead and leave them down below, and I'd be more than happy to answer them. And another thing too, you can follow me on Instagram or at Bassin' with Buddy, and I post pictures up there, some tips too. And continue to follow Bassin' with Buddy, and I'll see you next time.